planetary alignment, milestones, and public humiliation. All this and more on today's Brilliant Observations. Do, 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 do.
La 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 la.
Why do I bother
Melissa,
talking, not to mention setting up a podcast?
I don't know, but I've been told. Speaking of public humiliation, let me jump right in.
Do it.
So I've said almost every episode, I'm off social media. And the reason I'm off social media is the majority of my social media has been taken over with people prospecting for business. I engaged in a professional network club, and everyone in that club proselytized that your individual social feed needed to be your professional feed. That for authenticity in work and life, and for ease in every other damn thing, the pervasive wisdom was make it all one. Make it all one. Because if you're working with people who wouldn't accept you as who you are, you shouldn't be doing it. And
so
blah, blah,
is that like a business is your identity? Like this is...
Business is your... Well, I'm not going to go that far. For some people it is, and that's a problem. For other people, it became business is the only identity that I'm going to actively cultivate on here. And then the things that are real, I'm doing in some other way, like in a very minor account with just my super closest friends. Like the idea of social media as a mid-range collective for audiences of third and fifth and sixth level contacts of yours that you maybe saw somebody at a party, like all that stuff that I actually value, because when I'm looking to cast a wide net, when I'm doing a toy drive for kids at the holidays, I want everybody to know about it. And I want to, when I'm selling a sofa, I want to have a big network, right? So that's gone. Those days are gone because it largely got overrun with a lot of divisions in politics, a lot of, spammy stuff, stupid stuff. And in my case, it was all professional stuff. So people wanting to sell in their circle and constantly wanting to sell to their circle and or talk about selling and talk about what they're doing and this and that. And I say all that by way of, I am drawn into social media because I get tagged in things, or friends will have an event and it will, meaning a life event, and I will see activity you haven't seen. Like it'll send me an alert. And most of the time I just ignore it, but so I get sucked in and I'll go and I'll look for a few minutes. And invariably the same very active one woman pops up, and she is a sales coach. Okay. So she teaches people to do sales better, and her social media game is fire. She is on there an excessive amount. It makes no sense how many times she posts and how engaged she is with every post. But it works for her. It's part of her business. It's part of her life. And so be it. Occasionally I'll engage with those posts because I know her and we overlapped, and, time was, I was maybe going to work with her, but we ended up not doing it, whatever. Okay. So, because I don't need a sales pitch. Anyway, she always poses these really provocative questions.
Okay.
And people come out of the woodwork to answer them. And they're either bemoaning or giving the answer that you think she wanted you, like that she prompted and expected to get.
Teacher, so I know the answer to this. Yeah.
So the question was along the lines of having a sales call with somebody that you have not qualified as a lead. And the question was really specific. I'll leave that part out. But she was basically saying, is it, what happens when you find yourself on a sales call and the person that you are talking to doesn't want to buy from you? Like, how do you handle that? Or something along those lines. And I answered the question. I said, you're not going to like this answer. And I went in.
Immediately, I liked it.
And I said quite clearly, a variety of things, paragraph, long answer. Trust me, I held sales calls with prospects for a good 10 years of my life for my business. I know how they work and I know how they go south. And so the point that I made or attempted to make in my response was, if you have not qualified this person as ready to buy from you, then you should expect that they are there to get anything besides buy from you. They could be there to get competitive information. They could be there to get a free Google University, get a free education on what your product is so that they can understand it better when they go into a meeting and have to talk about it. They could be trying to poach other clients that you name drop these are some of the people I work for. So now they have a list of your clients and they can go after them. Like, it's everything under the sun that can be happening in a sales pitch when you are talking to somebody for 20, 30 minutes an hour, right? And I said, and honestly, if you have not qualified this person as a prospect for yourself, I don't have any, sometimes I sit through a sales call because I want to hear the person's mojo. I want to hear their spin.
The pitch.
I want to hear
you want
how
to hear
they
the
do it.
pitch. Why you?
Yeah,
why you?
I'm not,
why today?
I haven't decided whether I'm going to buy. I didn't go into it knowing I'm never going to buy from you, but I'm not a real prospect, right? I didn't take this call because the only thing between me and a sale is this call.
I sought you out, right? You came
to
me.
What? If you
right?
sell me in the call, that means that good, okay? So I post this thing on her page in her feed, right? And she regularly gets 400 comments on a single post. She's a very active person. So I'm sure it got buried in there somewhere, and people would like it or not like it and comment and go, wow, I never knew that, or I knew it, but I've never heard it said so, eloquently. Someone said this and that. It's like, okay, so I kind of knew that it was not horrible. A day or two later, I see she posts again, and she has screenshot my response and made that her post and said, "What do you think of this, wolves? What do you think of this?
Go get
my
her?
feed of thousands.
Like, go get her?
No, what do you think of this? If people are telling you one thing, this is what's really going on. Blammo." And then she put my post out of context up there for people to comment on. And I had a reaction, but I'm curious as to what your reaction was, because I'm seeing this as a sign. So I just was curious as to what you think or would have done.
So I did something similar this week when somebody was complaining about elections and how fucked they are and how whatever they are. And I made a comment, and I didn't make a comment. Again, I married a pillar in the community who does not like it when I comment on massive posts, and because I share his last name, and now all of a sudden his crazy wife is like, nobody gives a fuck about your goddamn vote. You mail from home if you don't like the person, anybody's seeing what you did at a booth, whatever it was. And I did watch, and I watched in a weird way. You walked away from your post. I was like, did anybody say anything yet? Because I have a natural fear of the wolves to whom she was appealing with you were meat that she threw down for them. You said it in your kind of out of context. She threw it on the, to the wolves. So I'm going to guess that they swarmed because these are sycophants. They are following and praising her. They're in her group. They're part of her tribe. I think the whole thing is gross. You are putting something out there, somebody replies, and then you turn that reply for which you solicited to your wolves saying, get her.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, and I know that's not the point of this podcast, so I'll keep it real brief. I opted to not acknowledge or qualify or even comment in any way on the repost.
Good, that's very mature of you.
Because the reality is she does post a whole lot, and this will be a flash in the pan for, the next 3 days for anyone who's looking at it. And she didn't identify me. She just screenshot
that was my next
the comment.
Question. Okay.
Yeah, no. So it's at the same time, if you are in her circle, and there's the same, 30 to 60 people who always show up on those days. So everybody knows, it's no secret, and it's easy enough to find. So I didn't go back and delete the original comment. I didn't say anything about the recomment. And I was really torn because for a lot of reasons. And I think the lesson for me here is I was only drawn to post on her page in that way because I wanted to look like an expert. She is an expert in her field and revered by all these people who don't really know a lot based on the comments that I see.
Right.
And I wanted to give a different expert point of view that stood out. And I did it. And so for her to use it in that way kind of serves me right, because what was I trying to do if not grandstand in front of her? I wanted to be helpful. I absolutely wanted to be helpful, but I can step back, and if I honestly assess it in there, I can say, yeah, but I also wanted to get something out of this, or I wouldn't have wasted my time typing this up. You don't type a Yelp review for a cheeseburger because you're so engrossed in cheeseburgers. You're getting something out of it. So what I got out of that, I think, taught me a lesson. And I wasn't very careful with how I worded it because I just was in post mode. Let's get something on there. And oh, this is what they don't even know this. Like, so I did it, but it could have been misinterpreted, which I think it probably was, and now reused. So clearly it was provocative because she's using it again. And I just feel like it's a test from the universe that what is this whole social media? Like, really, what is it? If I was comfortable saying it in the group, then I have to be comfortable with her using it that way. Why did I say it at all? Why do I care about commenting on sales coaching best practices? Like, it was a stupid thing, the whole thing. So I'm in like a real deep, a self-assessment mode, and I get all that. But I mean, I've been off social media for a while, and I'm wondering if I need to just stay off it completely, or if I need to get back in it.
This is you saying, because of COVID, I don't know how to small talk anymore. This is like we're revisiting the, I don't know why I go to parties, because I've lost the ability to have basic small talk conversations. You go deep. I think what you did was the same thing I did with somebody complaining about, why does somebody have to stand at the machine when I see how I voted? Dude, nobody gives a fuck how you voted. She put something out. It was a call to action. When you get an action, when you get somebody answering the call and you choose to put them out there or fillet them in a way, not fillet, dear listener, I said fillet. If you're going to do that, what are you expecting your future answers to be if people know that to be true? The same way I went back to look when I said, if the fear of somebody seeing how you voted is a line you're drawing in the sand, vote from fucking home, you goddamn loser. Some people go on to scream about, and the only reason I was drawn to answer, to your point, was I work at those elections. I understand what the guy at the machine is doing. I'm there after hours, literally licking my finger and counting votes by tens, piling them. Like, it's a thing with which you had intense experience. It's not, I think that if you're getting on a call and you don't already know, it's your you know this. This is your wheelhouse. It's your experience. Why wouldn't you share your experience? It sounded like she was fishing for answers. If you're smart enough to know she's fishing to answer her own questions and to look for targets, then don't engage. Maybe you have been gone too long, because that's all social media is turning out to be these days. But you can slowly dip your toe back in of small talk on social media about why do you want to? Because you see what's out there now.
I don't. And when I really drastically slowed down my content creation and sharing, I didn't feel any loss. I didn't feel any lack. And if anything, I felt a little bit lighter in terms of, okay, the people who I need to know what's going on, I call them, I text them, I physically see them. And that's, the network got a lot smaller, which is not great for a lot of things in life. It's good to have a network, but oh well.
If you bring that Friday night drinks to drink maximum up and you do that at your house, that's your connection. And you seem to thrive on physical connection. So for there to be social media playing such a role, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't equate really with who you are and how you derive pleasure from people, which you do in a tremendous way.
Well, I used to always post the truth, right? I would post what's going on. And so when I didn't have something that was broadcastable, that felt weird, because then I felt like I'm letting people down by not sharing the truth. So, but that's like, what? And then other people, I've learned too late, were only posting bullshit. So they thought what I was posting was like the whole thing. It's just, I can't keep up. With that.
So I kind of did that pullback as well personally, because who cares? So professionally, I chose to really just create content for Brilliant Observations. And when we got emails, I got really excited. And on Instagram or Facebook, when things came in, I would race to my on my phone as soon as the alert came in. And to your point, they are people who are looking for business. It's marketing tool for them, and I'm not a fan. So you brilliantly no pun intended, set our thing up to weed that out a little bit by an automatic response. Thank you for reaching out. I don't want you to think we're ignoring you. And I fucking love that you did that, because after that, you see it's a bot. You see it's a person who wants to work for us. Work for us? I'm sorry, did you want to get paid? I hear your words, friend, but we don't get paid. We do this for the love of dear fucking listener.
That's right.
And we realize the point may be too late for social media. And yeah, we keep our TikTok game sharp, but I understand the hitting an age where circle's smaller. Everybody doesn't need to know your shit, but you do need to write us at brilliantobservations@gmail.com. Go on Listen Brilliant on Instagram, Brilliant Observations and Brill Squad on Facebook, and tell us everything you're thinking, feeling, and doing. Amy and I have been this week through some milestones that are profound, and we are caught in an emotional, I don't really know the word for it, but lightning sand on The Princess Bride. I kind of feel like we're in that lightning sand, which should be easy to avoid because there's a pop and a hiss before it happens. And yet here we are, Amy with a graduation from college of her oldest child. Amy, have you stopped crying?
I got to tell you, it was very weird. We were calling it the pretend graduation, even to the point where it happened in the morning, 10 a.m., and after the long ceremony, and then immediately go to lunch. Sitting at the fancy lunch, we told them in advance, this is a graduate, whatever. And the guy looks around the table and he said, so, who's the graduate? Did you graduate? And he looks up and he says, I think so. That was his answer.
I think
so. And it was yes. It was the biggest joke, because he, at the last minute, decided to walk. He's still going to pursue his studies and get a fifth-year degree, a different degree. So this one was sort of like picking up the degree as you go by, right? So he
drive by.
He kept calling it his practice degree, his pretend degree, like all this kind of stuff, even to the point where he couldn't say to the waiter, yes, I'm a graduate. I think it's me. The guy looked at him like, how is that the answer to this question? It was also weird, I thought. There were so many micro graduations. It goes to a very, very large university, and each of the schools and the colleges have their own ceremony. And then you can you are conferred to the large university to go sit in the massive football arena and have your degree presented to you there. So in your small ceremony, they graduate you from the school and the college, and then you can do it again, or you can just skip doing it again and get it, right? So all of the smaller ones were happening on Thursday and Friday. And his roommate happened to graduate as well. He's also going on for a fifth year. So he had what was called the lavender graduation. And I was stunned because I said, what's your roommate? What's that sash that he's wearing? I don't know that sash. What's that? What is that, a club? What is that? And he goes, what do you think it is? Because it was a rainbow. And I said, well, I think it's gay pride, but I'm sure that's not what it is. And he goes, of course it is. And I was like, is he gay? And he's like, yes. So, how am I supposed to fucking know his roommate's gay? But anyway, so that was like, oh, that's interesting. And also, what's the lavender graduation? LGBTQIA+ have their own separate graduation. For university-wide, it's separate. So he graduated that way and came back to meet us. And I thought that was like the opposite of what you're supposed to, it took me a minute to get my head around it. Because in the beginning, I was like, isn't the whole point that everybody love everybody?
We
and
did
we're
it
all
together. We're all together at graduation.
I think I think the point, this is me with my opinion trying to figure it out, is visibility. Look at all of us together. We are together here and we are supporting each other. Let's all stand up, pride, rah, rah. But anyway, crazy, right?
Could they have had, well, I don't know the purpose of the graduation unless it was for a college of studies of that particular.
No, that one was overarching everyone. Like if you are in that group category, whatever, you could go to the lavender graduation and they had lavender flowers. Like, I don't know what the point of, I'm not sure what the colors signify, but in any event, that's what they did because the school colors are not lavender. So anyway, yeah. And then met up with us after the thing.
I don't understand why. Like, as a person, as a Jew, there is no Jewish graduation where all the Jewish students get together. But what they
Maybe
do
there
have,
is.
there isn't. No, well, not where my kids go to school. And or any other school, or Brandeis, which is significantly Jewish, or wherever the schools have a Jewish graduation per se, but they do have get your fucking degree and then come to Hillel, come to LGBTQIA house and have this incredible luncheon or whatever it is. I wasn't aware that there is a specific graduation. And my question is, was it full? Like, did a lot of people go? Was it well represented?
I have no idea. Well, we only saw him after the fact. So we were in a large center where we were in a gigantic ballroom for our college, and other people were happening before us and after us all day long, this kind of thing. So I'm sure because he was there letting out at the same time, he was probably in a different ballroom. So I'm guessing it was a pretty big deal, and I could always ask. But anyway, it was just curious to me. And I found out that another kid, our former neighbor, the one who grew up alongside my kid, and they both sort of had this idea of being engineers. He ended up at the same university and was valedictorian of his program in his school.
Shut your mouth.
I know. And I was like, are you shitting me? So,
but was he at Lavender graduation?
He super was not. And I think I mentioned this last week as well. Another one of the cohort, young woman, went to the honors engineering program at Columbia and learned 20 minutes ago that she will not have a graduation, that they have officially canceled it, which is just as shitty can be, because she didn't get a high school graduation because of COVID. And now she doesn't get this because of civil unrest. And it's
she'll have her department though. They canceled the big one because, well, Columbia, it's a fucking shit show, but aren't they still going to have the smaller colleges, if not the grand graduation?
I'm just on a text chain with her mom,
okay.
And it's
sad.
making the rounds. So yeah, it's really, really tough. But I will tell you, with all of the civil unrest, there is one small bright spot, and it deals with social media, I think, because at the University of North Carolina, did you see this? Did you see what happened at the University of North Carolina?
Keep talking.
There was a skirmish midweek last week where, and the very height of all of the encampment style protests prior to the Columbia break-in, there was something that had to do with a flag going up and coming down. Does this even ring a bell for you?
Yeah, frat boys,
okay.
Right?
Yes. So the protesters raised a Palestinian flag, and they had to take down the United States flag to make it happen. And a bunch of fraternity brothers decided that was not going to be the case. So they removed that flag and returned Old Glory. And this happened it was like a comic book routine. It happened back and forth a couple of times until finally the fraternity boys were victorious and
stood guard.
Well,
right.
And stood guard. And in support and solidarity of that act, somebody created a GoFundMe. Had you heard about this?
No.
Okay, this is my favorite. So this all happened. Let's call it the news broke. Maybe it happened on a Tuesday afternoon, and the news broke Wednesday morning, right? GoFundMe, making the rounds. I heard about the GoFundMe around lunchtime, and it was already up. They wanted to throw them a keg party, right? So the GoFundMe is to buy these guys a beer, okay? And the write-up was hilarious, and it was, we're sticking up for the proletariat who have restored dignity to our campuses. It's a joke. It's a joke. Let's have a party. Let's remember we're at college. Let's focus on something lighthearted and fun. Let's take back this conversation. So by lunchtime, they had 20 grand. 20 grand.
For a keg party.
For a keg party. On the same day. I'm going to call it a Wednesday. It could have been a Thursday, but whatever. Within the same day, at my son's lacrosse game, at the start of the lacrosse game, they had $98,000.
Holy shit.
By the end of the lacrosse game, they had $140,000. By the next morning, they had secured a White House event planner, an event planner who had experience with the White House, and they had merch deals.
Oh my God.
And by the end of that afternoon, they were in conversations with the university to create a board of directors to disperse the money. And by early evening, that second day, 2 days, they had raised $500,000 and they decided to close the GoFundMe because it was just so wildly out of control. And they included every fraternity. They like expanded it beyond. They have $516,000 for a fucking party.
Shit.
And they had the class to shut it down because they're like, we've had our fun. This is real money. I'm gonna get just choked up because I know one of the kids who's in this fraternity, right? He's a friend of my middle child. This is his freshman year, and it's one of his fraternity that's involved. And the donations poured in from everywhere. They were on the news. They had to figure out how to, so it became an actual cultural moment. Like, you have to figure out how to deal with the news. You got to deal with this actual money. What are we going to do? Where are we? Like, it's real. That's real fucking money. That would pay all the dues and some of the tuition for every single one of those chapters. So it's crazy. But isn't that crazy?
So it got to me on social media as well. And the way I saw it were my friends said, I cannot fucking believe you made me root for a frat boy. Like, I cannot believe
I love it.
that not only am I supporting, I'm supporting a frat boy. Like, that's against every fiber in my being, and they were the ones who did the right thing. And good for fucking them. Good for them. I saw all the pictures of re-raising, and it was kind of beautiful. It really did remind me, which really also made me hate the fact that it was fraternity brothers doing it, but like, they were forcing that flag up. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And it was beautiful that they did this. And they're like, knock it off. This is who we are. And I really loved it. Did not know that it was all put together financially, and it was a GoFundMe. And I love that. I love that story.
I was tracking it because it was so fascinating. I was just tracking it throughout the day. And every time I would refresh it, it would jump by like $30,000. And it was just a stunner to watch.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. Especially because it's a cause that has one side or the other. And what raised all of this money was...
It's a fucking beer party. Yeah, just a rager.
But neither one of those sides. It's a third side of shut the fuck up. We're Americans, assholes. That's what I love so much. It's not like it was Palestinian, Israeli, Palestinian. It was take your fucking flag. Like, first of all, what did you do to ours? And go fuck yourself. And second of all, this is not what we do here. I loved it when my mother used to say that. This is not what we do, Melissa. This is what I'm doing. I had a tattoo. This is not what we do. I don't know who the we is in that sentence, but yeah, it wasn't this side or that side. It was an American side, and it was fucking beautiful. And that's even before I knew that there was all of this money raised. Amy, how many people would you say were at the graduation you went to?
Oh, the one, the college ceremony?
Sure.
Gosh. I think it was over 1,000.
And
I think
did you
it was
see
a pretty
that
large ballroom.
Did you see that with your eyeball? Like, do you eyeball it like that?
Yes. No, we were in a, there was a main aisle. There were probably 30-ish seats per row on each side. And it went from the extreme back of the ballroom all the way to the front, every seat full, people standing in the aisles. So, I mean, I don't know. It was a very large ballroom as well for scale. So maybe more than 1,000, actually, if I think about it.
So in your head, you do a little bit of math. I have no fucking ability to gauge or estimate the amount of people in a room, in a anywhere, like in a stadium. I have no ability to do that. And I think that's like a brain tweak thing. Most people could say, I know there are about 30 people there. If you told me to picture 30 people, I got nothing. Okay, I have like,
you know how to
friends.
picture 30 people. That's easy. Yeah.
I got 10 friends.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to tell you to do.
And if
10
they
friends.
bring partners.
So mentally put all 10 of those friends in a room. Physically, how much of the room did they take up? Half? A third? I mean, whatever room you've invented in your mind, you've got 10 people in there because you know who those 10 people are. So you're envisioning their bodies and their physical space in the room. And then you triple that. That's how you estimate.
I just got really dizzy trying to do that. I just took like Passover Seder times 3. Oh boy. Like I can't do that. I also can't estimate time. I'll be home in 5 minutes. Don't ever listen to me when I tell you it's 5 minutes from here or 10 minutes. I don't know. I'm just saying it because I've heard other people say things and my brain isn't even connected and trying to figure it out. I've given you my secret now. I don't know. I'm not trying to know. Is that wrong? I'm not trying to know, but I'm still speaking, which makes me a liar. You're a thief and I'm a liar. That's great. Speaking of thief and liar, did you see the roast of Tom Brady last night?
I didn't. I've noticed on social media that people were talking about roasting Tom, like whatever, on TikTok, somebody had posted Tom Brady. I'm like, that's old. Because didn't he retire a couple years ago? So I have no concept of what's going on.
So last night was a live roast on Netflix, and it's now there for you to see. It's up. It's the first banner that you're going to see. And Nikki Glazer is my new fucking hero. She is everything. She is air that I breathe. She's everything. And it was fantastic. So you should check it out.
Oh my gosh. I could use a good laugh. Definitely. I will check it out.
So yesterday, when you were in the joy mode, I was at a memorial for my friend's mother, and I figured out what I want. This is it. This is what I want. She was a socialite, legit socialite, fashionista socialite. Even she owns the whole family still owns it. A boutique in Philadelphia on 19th and Sansom. Go see her.
Oh, okay.
It's beautiful things. Her son now runs it. But she had a piano player there who played beautiful pieces. There was, cocktails and joy when you walked in. And I've figured out what I want. And I'm going to hire my friend's brother to set the whole thing up because Stuart's going to think I'm ridiculous. But a memorial is the way to go.
As opposed to a service or a ceremony did you do it? I thought you guys had a whole thing where you sit down and people are on low chairs and all this business.
Shiva?
You're not doing that?
The Shiva.
That's the one.
That's family. That's private. That's, she's gone. We have all of these podcasts to listen to that we've never listened to because nobody supports mommy. However, this is our fucking legacy, Fugazi. Look at yourself right now in this thing. This is our legacy.
That is not a comforting thought.
It's not. It's not at all.
No.
Pivot.
Pivot. Pivot fast, quickly, elevate immediately, change direction.
I'm sorry, our shit and dick humor is not going to stand the test of time for our children to look back at and fondly. No.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to go and attend that ceremony and be with your friend, and I know that's a heavy weight on you. So, and I mean, with all the graduation and the transition, and let's not even dismiss the unrest in the world. All of these things combine, and that's another reason that I at least was paying attention to yet another planetary alignment with all of this. I don't know what the hell is going on, but if it really is being connected to the solar system, or if it's just coincidental that those things are happening, but I almost believe, I kind of believe that all of this universal planetary unrest is charging us up. Don't they say that on a full moon, on an X day of the month, the emergency rooms are always full and the jails are always full? People go a little, it affects folks. People get a little twitchy, right? So, and now coming up, so after we've gotten all through this major eclipse, and then the end of the 13-year cycle or whatever the hell it was with this thing and going into a new season for these people. Now, 6 planets are going to be in direct alignment on June 3rd. Direct alignment. Absolutely straight line. And that means, I don't know what. That means something. So
I was just going to say, you said
know.
That means, and I thought, what? Tell me what that means. What's going to happen?
I stopped looking into it because I realized that it's a little bit ridiculous, the sources that I'm using for the information that I'm getting. Because I saw this on TikTok and then I was like, okay, let's see if that's even really happening. So then I went and Googled planetary alignment. When does it happen? Has it happened? How often does it happen? Is it an everyday thing? Do we even care about this? And come to find out, this is an uncommon event to have this many. And it's kind of big dealy. But what does it mean? I don't know. We humans get to decide. So June is far away, but also nearer than you think.
Right
so
around the corner.
Well, what do you think is going to happen when the giant universal string is pulling everything straight into one line?
The end of the TikTok, because I did fast forward, said the birth of a new Earth. We could use a new Earth. Like we were just using this one up. Like we used all of its resources. So that is welcomed. But I don't know. Like I am curious. When people ask you, what's your sign? You engage, traits of, I think, what a flake, I'm out of here. Like in my head, I'm like, not a lifelong friend, a big X in the air in my head.
Well, this is new to me. We have another friend who is super into this and does psychic readings and pays attention in star signs and all that. Does it a lot. I don't do it a lot. I am doing it more now because it's easy to see it and it flows to me now on TikTok algorithmically. So that's really what it is born of. And also as a way I use it as a tool to tap into my intuition, which I completely lost sight of. Well, I lost sight of it for 10 years in my professional life. It was an everyday practice to push myself further away from the signals my body was innately telling me. So as a way to reconnect with that, I use this stuff. I will look for glimmers. I will look for signs. I will look for repeated patterns. And then the more you look for them, the more you see them. So it is a virtuous circle. That's like anything else. You start exercising, it's easier to exercise. So you exercise more. Now you're fit. So you exercise more. I mean, that's just all that it is. But it's still a relatively new thing. I would not seek out someone, and I certainly have been in plenty of conversations prior to now and will in the future with people who are way into this shit. And I'm like, I don't think I'm interested.
7 steps too far for me. Hey, did you ever watch the TV show? Yeah. Bye. Did you ever watch the TV show Psych?
No, I haven't heard of it. No. What you got for me?
It's a series. I mean, Corbin Burnson's in it, like peripherally. So it's nothing serious. It's a TV show about a cop and a psychic. And I use air quotes for that because he just sees things, as you would call glimmers, things that are actually happening, things most people look past and don't see, but they give him credit for being a psychic and they bring him in to look around crime scenes. And I think you would enjoy it because it's light and airy. It has a fantastic cast. I say that because I love Dulé Hill and he's everything. Anything he does, I'll watch. He came locally to our local theater to do a little show at a playhouse. And I thought, how many nights can I come and see him? And I sent a DM saying, I know you're here practicing. I just made a lasagna. If you want to come over for dinner, it's right up the street. It's really a tiny playhouse. Obviously, he never answered me. Obviously, it was one of those, I put a post and wait for an answer and nothing ever happens. But it was really sweet and I follow him. But I think you would like, point being, the show Psych. It is exactly what you're saying, finding things in the everyday that most people are programmed themselves to just look past and not notice. You're a noticer.
I am
Try
that.
it.
I am that. It's good to notice things. I endeavor to notice even more all around me in my life.
Write it down. Psych. So on my TikTok feed, I get several a day. My phone's concerned that my use has been up a little. And that's how you know my depression is.
Okay. I got really, really upset when I got a notice about my phone usage.
Yes.
And I had a minor heart attack. And then I remembered, this is still not good, but then because my usage per day is a number that is shocking and unacceptable.
In the hours.
It said your usage is down to an average of 10 hours X a day. And I was like, stop it. Just fucking stop it. And I almost threw the phone in the garbage. And then I remembered, I use my phone for remote control to operate our devices. And I have it on almost all day. I'll have music on through the device with the phone as the remote. I will have, so all of that must, I mean, it's because it's not like phone calls and emails that I'm using it for and creating things that I'm using it for. But I'm pretty sure No, it's not. I'm not playing fishdom 10 hours a day. I would be much happier if I was, and frankly, more affluent and self-assured. Fishdom is the path to greatness in all cases. We want to get
Rumor has it.
No thanks to me. I did really well last weekend. Like, I was a star on our team last weekend. This weekend, I was preoccupied with graduation, as one should be. And just to keep my non sequiturs going, I would like to give a shout out to my son, who already has secured a full-time job, started before he graduated, and officially is full-time today. So he had already been going in, but today is first day of full-time. And I would like to point out, this is a job in his stated career where he is working on an active project that is in the process of being built. And the project, my friend, because he's an architect. I feel like I was keeping that back, but everybody fucking knows. Yeah. So he is redesigning a brew pub. That's his first job. Let me just say, I think you can piece this together from the way that I have abused his childhood up to this point. I would never let him get a job. He always wanted jobs, and I would never let it happen because the jobs he picked were stupid, and I didn't want them for him because I thought it would be a worse experience to have that job than to have no job, right? So this is officially
and your job
the
is
first
school.
Place.
Yeah.
The very first job he's ever had is as a working architect designing a brew pub. That's the very first. Like, he didn't deliver newspapers, he didn't any of the fucking thing. So I gotta say, pretend degree be damned. I think he's doing okay.
One child that I'm going to move to the side and worry a little less about.
They're all three on their own paths, and they're all three doing really okay. And I'm super, super happy with where they are. Now my job, it gets a little riskier. The older they get, the job becomes, okay, how can I support and not fuck it up at this stage? Right? Because we're in new territory again. You never know.
You're a consult right now.
Well, you never know what you're doing. And you didn't know when they were little, but at least when they were little, you could, read a book and they're not aware you're reading it. Like, they know that you don't know now.
How to support
when they come
baby
asking
architect.
For whatever. Right. Yeah, I don't know. So,
Ma, I have to negotiate a lease. Okay, I could do that. I have no idea what you have ahead of you. So this is something I can help you with. Perfect. Tell them that you're willing to and not willing to whatever. Yeah, I like that.
First of all, second of all, thirdly, and also, let me tell you this.
My TikToks are several podcasts sometimes. I will get friends of the podcasts, but I also get the Am I the Asshole podcast TikToks. Do you get those ever?
I super don't. I get one, Were You Raised by Wolves? That's always fun to see.
The answer is yes.
I think that's a gentler way of saying Am I the Asshole? Because I think those tend to be etiquette questions. But anyway, no, tell me, am I the asshole? Actually, don't tell me that. I don't want to be an asshole. I don't want to be an asshole. My previous anecdote notwithstanding, I don't want to be an asshole. So anyway, go ahead.
So they make a whole podcast about write-in letters about other people's Am I the Assholes? And I think, yes, if you're asking, odds are, obviously people are seeing you that way and you're calling in for help. But the one I saw today was, am I the asshole for not calling or not going to see my brother or letting my brother know in voicemail or whatever that my mother died? And I thought, I don't know this story.
Oh my God.
My answer is yes, you're the asshole. Like, you have to tell your brother that your mother died. Honestly, they read the whole letter. And no, she's not the asshole. The brother is the asshole, and fuck you. You're not going to the funeral. Like, that's just, you don't even know that mommy's gone. Like, whatever it is. You're really in now. But the whole point at the bottom line was he is seeing a girl, and the girl said, your mother and your sister text and call you too often. 2 to 3 times a week is how often he would talk to his mother. And the girlfriend said, that's fucking ridiculous. It's too often. Have a Sunday phone call and that's that. Like, there's no reason for you. It's gross that you talk to your mother and your sister this often. So they went away locally, like in state. They went away for a week or something. And unexpectedly, mom died. So,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
So sister tries to contact through a series of phone calls to voicemail, texts. She's not leaving this on a voicemail. I understand not wanting to leave it on a voicemail. Text. He does not return anything for 5 days go by. I don't know if they're Jewish and bury immediately. I don't know how it happened, but she said, I sent 6 text messages. It's emergent. You need to call us back. She was very clear. Something's wrong. She never contacted, and there's no part 2 to it, but all of these things are, am I the asshole? First of all, the whole case was crazy. They had me at hello, or am I the asshole? And secondly, how do you do an entire podcast about other people's bullshit and not your own, and have authenticity and still have a fucking podcast?
Everybody wants to hear those sordid tales. They just do. I can't stand it. It's like the Charlie Brown effect. I have no interest in watching the humiliation of somebody else, if that's even the word. Like, just the whatever happens to Charlie Brown for him being in the wrong and the shit is not working. Like, I don't like to watch that. And I'm certainly, that's part of the reason I am not attracted in any way to any of the housewiveries, right? I've not seen a single one. Is Vanderpump a Housewives?
Interesting. It's a spinoff from the Housewives. So interesting. The ick feeling. I will be watching police chases or arrests of, I don't know, assistant district attorneys or district attorneys who get pulled over for speeding and yell at cops, or just police tape things, a drunk, a shoplifter. I watch all of that shit, cops, and my heart is racing. I hate that feeling. Why am I still watching things I'm hate watching?
I don't know. I won't watch horror movies. I mean, I have zero interest in that. Even suspense sometimes is a bridge too far. Like, I just don't want it. I don't like the reaction. I'm not engaged. Like, why? I don't even know why anybody would seek out that emotion. And I guess I'm identifying with, and I'm not, because I don't even understand. A lot of times these shows are all about people who do things that are just ridiculous from start to finish. And their squabbles with each other are beyond moronic. And at the same time, it's like, it still feels icky. Like, even when I have no investment in either one of them coming out a winner, right? It doesn't even matter. It's all sides are dumb. So and at the same time, I'm still turned off by it. Like, I don't even have any, the whole drama, no drama.
Yeah, but you're smart and you walk out of the room, or you swipe up, or you turn it off. I can't. I am stuck. And then I think, once I realize I'm in the spiral, I pull myself out and like, what? Why are you doing this to yourself? Your heart is racing. You are miserable right now. Why are you watching more of this? Why do people seek out things that raise their blood pressure, that make them crazy? Why is this psychologically a thing that we as humanity do? Or
I don't know. Andy Cohen must know the answer, because he's the producer of all that kind of stuff. Is that his name? Anderson
it
Cooper's
is
friend?
From Bravo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing. My husband cannot watch when they start arguing, talking over each other, going through on Housewives things, to which we subscribe almost exclusively.
You are hilarious.
He can't watch that. It's gross. Why am I drawn to things that are gross? Dear listener, throw me a bone here. Help me out. Why am I drawn to things that I hate, that are gross, that aren't good for me, us? It's a phenomenon. Please explain to me why I do this and what the draw is. Please. I also catch myself not breathing sometimes and have to do a
oh my God
exhale to get through it. Let me know if you do this and why I do. And if it's just, bitch, you're glutton, then that's fine too, because I've seen me around cinnamon buns. I know I'm glutton. So let me know. Let Amy know why her friend is so fucked up. Write us. I already did this. We love you guys. Thank you for turning out for us. I hope we turned you on in some minuscule way. Although, for the life of me, I cannot figure out how.
Bye!
Thank you for your service, Amy. Thank you for your service.